Hello everybody, I am Oscar and welcome to my review for Kingsman, The Secret Service. And this film is directed by Matthew Vaughn and is based off a comic book called The Secret Service, which was written by Mark Millar, writer of the Kick-Ass comics. It's another collaborative project with Vaughn and Millar. And the film stars Taron Egerton, I think that's how you pronounce his name, as well as Colin Firth, Michael Caine, Samuel L. Jackson, Mark Hamill for a bit, and Mark Strong. And our plot of Kingsman is a veteran spy, played by Colin Firth, takes a young lad, played by Taron Egerton, under his wing to essentially stop Sam Jackson from doing his evil things. Now going into Kingsman, I was pretty excited because it was directed by Matthew Vaughn and I am a big Matthew Vaughn fan. I've only seen two of his films, being Kick-Ass and X-Men First Class. And now the interesting thing about this film is that Matthew Vaughn chose not to direct Kick-Ass 2, to direct X-Men Days of Future Past. He was attached to Days of Future Past. A bit later on, it was announced that Vaughn dropped out of Days of Future Past to do Kingsman. Now, was it a good idea for Vaughn to do that? I think so. Now let me explain by that. What I mean by I think Vaughn did the right thing not doing X-Men and doing Kingsman, I don't mean that I think Kingsman's a better film than X-Men Days of Future Past. No, I prefer X-Men Days of Future Past. What I mean is that I think Bryan Singer was the best director to do X-Men Days of Future Past. And I think Matthew Vaughn was the best director to do this source material, because this was an extremely fun film. Essentially, this is an action summer film in January. It is amazing, this film, just on the fun level. It has its flaws, but I would be lying if I said I didn't have a fun time. I had such a fun time in the cinema seeing this. Apart from fun, this film is actually funny. This film has some laugh-out moments in it, specifically by Colin Firth. Colin Firth is really funny in this film. And not only that, but the relationship between Colin Firth and Taron Egerton, I'm going to call him Eggsy, like the character, between Colin Firth's character and Eggsy, it's such a great relationship and they bounce back off each other so well. It's a great comedic duo here and they have some legitimately funny moments in it. But not only by that, you have some really funny moments by Samuel L. Jackson and Michael Caine and Mark Strong and just some other side characters. It is actually a funny film. It's not just an action comedy with little comedy. It's an action comedy with some fantastic action and some legitimately funny moments. It is the perfect action comedy in that sense. And talking about that, the action, oh my goodness, the action in this is fantastic. I would compare the action scenes in this film to the action scenes in The World's End. The way it's filmed, it's kind of shaky, but you can see what is going on. Specifically a scene with Colin Firth in a church. That scene was just mind-blowingly action-packed and actually really amusing and funny. It was fantastic action, like well choreographed action. It wasn't like, oh, it's a comedy so we have to shoot this like a comedy. It was shot like an action film while still being a comedy. As I said, the acting was great. I do think that we have two breakout performances with this film. Not only by Taron Egerton, who played Eggsy, because I thought he was a great young lead, and I can see him doing a lot more stuff because he was fantastic in this film. But also by the actress who played Roxy. The one thing I love about this film is that, and I don't think it's a spoiler, is that they don't get in a relationship. There is no romantic tension between these two. They are just friends. And I love, we have a film. This is a spy film with a lead male and another lead woman, and they don't end up kissing at the end. They don't end up getting together. how rare is that these days? Even in a film that I loved, like Edge of Tomorrow, even that film had to have the quick kiss at the end to be like, oh, you're a lead male, I'm a lead female, let's kiss. This film didn't even do that. They were just friends, and thank you for doing that. Another thing I have to give praise to this film is that this film is unique. It is a unique film. It feels just... It's like, partway through the film I was like, oh, this feels like something different. Even though it's based off a comic book, but it feels different. It doesn't feel like I've seen this type of film before. With the action, with the humour, and with just the characteristics of some characters. But the one uniqueness I love about this film is Samuel L. Jackson's character. He is the master villain of this film, who essentially wants world domination. That's essentially his deal. There's a deeper thing behind it, but it's essentially world domination. And the characteristics about Samuel L. Jackson is that he dresses like a thug. It's weird, like a young thug at his age, and he has a lisp, and he hates the sight of blood. He hates gore, he hates the sight of blood and everything. It's like if he sees a spot of blood, he just projectile vomits. And this is a guy that wants to take over the world. He is the biggest wuss in the film, and he's the main villain of the film. That is genius. I don't know, it's not only comedic, but it is just genius on a unique level. It is, I would never have thought like, oh, the supervillain of this film is going to be a wussy. Who would have thought that? And going on to that, another uniqueness about this film is Samuel L. Jackson's sidekick, I guess, who seems like an amputee with blades for legs. Her weapon is her legs. She's got essentially swords on her legs, and she fights with those. And the way she uses them is such a unique way. It is just a unique film, and the way that the film plays out, the way they shoot the action, the way the characters talk, it's just a unique film, and I can really see this becoming a cult hit. I think the best way I would describe this film is if Men in Black met Johnny English and Edgar Wright directed it. The first negative I really did notice about this film was the visual effects could have been touched up a bit more. Whenever there were a visual effects scene, you could tell it was visuals, and it kind of took me a little bit out of the film. Like, really? They couldn't have done that practically? And there was some CG blood which gets on my nerves. Just use a squib. Just do something like that, or use some corn syrup or something. Don't CG blood. And I thought, oh, maybe it'll get better as the film goes on. No, the visual effects don't really improve all that well. The visual effects weren't all that great in the film. Another bit of the negative I have to say is that the film, at a certain point, kind of felt predictable. There were moments which were like, okay, it's going to play out like this. And it did. And here's a negative. This might not even be... this doesn't really have anything to do with the film itself. There was such a painful product placement for McDonald's in this film. It was so painful. It was like, oh, it's going to be this grand meal. Opened up the tray. It's like, oh, it's McDonald's, and it was shot like an advert. Like, another car went, would you like the chicken McNuggets or something like that? And another car was like, no, I'd rather have the Big Mac. And then I was literally like, really? You really had to go there? It's like, you had to do that. That was pretty bad product placement. But overall, I had a blast with Kingsman: The Secret Service. I don't prefer it to First Class or Kick-Ass compared to other Matthew Vaughn films, but I can see myself watching this again because I had so much fun with it. I thought it was such a unique film. All the acting was really good. It was very funny. 2 breakout performances by Taron Egerton and the actress who played Roxy. I think Matthew Vaughn was the perfect director to direct this film. And overall, I think, Yeah, there are some a bit cheesy moments and everything, but overall I think you will not regret seeing Kingsman, The Secret Service in the cinema. So guys, thanks for watching my review for Kingsman, The Secret Service. Hope this review persuaded you in some way to see it, because I personally think you should see it. Links will be down below for Twitter and Facebook. And till next time guys, I shall see you later and goodbye.